Aloha, everyone. Thank you, Senator Gabbard, for having me here. Jason Misaki, unfortunately, is unavailable, so I will be presenting for him. Again, I'm with the Department of Land and Natural Resources, Division of Forestry and Wildlife. I am the Seabird and Waterbird Coordinator for the state. So I wanted to start off with just putting, what the mission is of DLNR DOFA, or Division of Forestry and Wildlife. So we have a lot on our plate in terms of what we're responsible for, and that includes protecting watersheds, native ecosystems, cultural resources, as well as providing outdoor recreation and sustainable forest product opportunities. We do have a regulatory role where we oversee natural and cultural resources throughout the state. So DOFA does manage about 1 million acres throughout the state, and this is just a map of Oahu and the areas that we are currently managing. And these areas highlighted, these include our natural area reserves, our forest reserves, our sanctuaries, as well as our game management areas. So I won't go into much detail because we have had several people talk about what are Pueo, but I did want to mention this is throughout the Hawaiian Islands are found. It's the only raptor found on Oahu that's native to Hawaii. And again, it's a ground nester, so we know that it is most likely threatened by predation and so forth. It's found throughout a variety of habitats as well, in open grasslands as well as wet and dry forests. So as was mentioned, the Pueo is protected by the state of Hawaii. It's listed as endangered. The endangered species law is found in our Hawaii Revised Statute, Chapter 195D. Under this, take is prohibited unless there are proper permits that are obtained. And I know Jenny went into some of the definitions. This is the state definition for take. It's defined to harass, harm, pursue, hunt, shoot, wound, kill, trap, capture, or collect an endangered species. So this is prohibited under state law unless proper permits are obtained, and if there are violations under this law, there are penalties through fines and or imprisonment. So as I mentioned, there are threats that are known on the Pueo. Part of that is habitat degradation and loss, urbanization, those thoughts of loss of nesting and foraging habitat, and as I mentioned, nest predation by non-native species such as cats and mongoose, and then potentially natural fluctuations in the population related to prey abundance, as well as competition for prey species from invasive species such as the barn owl, or potential threats as well. So particularly, how does DOFA survey for Pueo? We know that the best hours for surveying are during the crepuscular or twilight hours. The state doesn't have a particular survey protocol for Pueo at this moment, but we are working on developing that, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But we do record Pueo when we do our other surveys throughout the state. So we do water bird surveys and nene surveys and forest bird surveys. And when Pueo are observed, we do note those down. So those surveys we conduct either biannually or annually. And then in our wildlife sanctuaries, we are doing a bit more management and surveying. And so any Pueo that are observed in those weekly or monthly surveys are also recorded. So DOFA manages, like I said, a lot of land, and we manage mainly in our wildlife sanctuaries, wetlands, natural area, and forest reserves. And these areas, we have observed Pueo, and we don't specifically manage for the species, but we know that protecting and managing these areas that they are present do provide benefits to the species as well as our other native species. So our future plans for Pueo, we are, like I said, developing a standardized survey and monitoring protocol so that we can monitor throughout all the islands. We would like to specifically start on Oahu, where it is state listed, and we want to basically determine what is the abundance and distribution of this species. What are the nesting habitats that it's associated with and foraging habitats? And we want this information basically to be able to understand and manage better for the species. And at this moment, we are planning on releasing a request for proposal, which is basically soliciting bids on doing research to include some of this work that I have mentioned. And so our plans are to have a contract in place hopefully by the end of the year. In addition, as Jenny had mentioned, we are partnering with other organizations to track Pueo movements, and like she mentioned, and like Senator Gabbard mentioned, because of this meeting, we have started conversations to make sure that we are collaborating with our Fish and Wildlife Service counterparts and ensuring that our resources are used effectively and not redundant. So we are going to be working with them closely as we develop these protocols. And currently one of our biologists has received training with Fish and Wildlife Service raptor experts from the mainland. So this is a great start for us. And we're also hoping for, would like to see opportunities for students as well, either through master's or doctorate research to study Pueo here in the islands. And so what can you do? I think this is a great space that we have here, and the community is, it's great to see community members very interested and moving conservation forward through, learning about the Pueo, understanding what the threats are to the species, and connecting with your local conservation agencies. Another way, if you do find a sick or injured Pueo, we do recommend you contact your nearest vet or call DOFA as well. And that's all I have. Mahalo.
Thank you, Afsheen. And now I'd like to invite members of the audience to, if there are any questions you would like to pose to our expert panel. We have 2 mics, one on each side of the room.
Thank you for being here. Welcome to Oahu. If something's not done soon, you won't find them out here because their habitat will have been totally destroyed.
You never really said whether the Pueo is included.
Oh, I apologize for that. Yes, the Pueo is protected under the Migratory Bird Treaty Act.
Place now that can trigger some kind of dialogue while you are trying to enlist 23 landowners. Again, the habitat is being lost now, but we've got to do it now.
Notify 300-acre plans to develop that 300 acres and rapidly what can you do to say it's here, we have proof it's here, we have certification it's here, the EIS said it wasn't, now what do you do?